Three things that makes it hard to start a difficult conversation. Number one, you are more concerned with the approach of the conversation than the content of the conversation itself. The reason why you cannot start a conversation, the reason why you are unable to start the conversation is because you are more concerned, you are not sure of how do I start. Babe, you know the other day, Annie, what are you trying to say? How do you like my A? No, you were saying something. Can you continue? No, forget about it. I think, I'll say it another time. Because the challenge is the approach of starting that conversation. The approach. As I said, you may have what to say, but you lack the right approach of saying it. So many people are sure about what they have to say. They are sure about what they want to have as a discussion, but they are having a challenge on the approach. And as far as, since they cannot resolve themselves around the approach of the conversation, then that conversation never happened. Number two, it can happen that one is more concerned with everything leading to the conversation than the conversation itself. I thought when I got married that, women take things as we do, like straightforward. It is what it is. What I say is what I mean. But what I didn't understand is women begins to read you from the morning. By the time you are about to have that conversation, they are telling you, so that's why you didn't greet me in the morning. So that's the reason why when you were coming out of the house, you knocked the door. Boop. I mean, I'm ready to have a conversation, but you are now first taking me back to a place I am not. I even forgot that, I clapped the door. I don't even, it wasn't something that I did that because, I was angry and so. No, but they have the art of making things relate that they are not even cousin from far. And so with time, you begin to understand that, so if I have to have a conversation, I have to make sure that I watch my steps leading to the conversation. You watch your steps. You make sure by the time you are ready to have a conversation, your track has been clean. Because there are people that are more concerned with everything leading to the conversation than the conversation itself. And before you know it, you start arguing about the stuff leading to the conversation than the conversation itself. Now we are fighting the fact that, the toilet seat was not down. You did not, you took, I don't know, the slippers into this place and that place and so forth and so on. And this becomes a whole situation. We are now fighting about things that has nothing to do with what I want to say. Third thing. Am I making sense? It can happen that the focus is more on the content of the conversation than the feelings of the person involved. One of the reasons why I believe that we have challenges on having difficult conversation is because we are so concerned with how the person will feel after we are done having a conversation. But can I tell you, there are certain conversations that are meant to happen, no matter what the feelings might say. In fact, there are certain conversations before you start them, feelings must be locked outside of the room. There are certain conversations, before you have them, you have to make sure that here we are going to war. But it won't be any blows, it won't be any slaps whatsoever. But we just have to be open to allow us to be touched into places where normally if my feelings were in the room, this conversation will end up in a very negative way. But I have to have the wisdom to understand that sometimes feelings have to leave the room in order for the wisdom of God to enter. What does that mean? It means that we need to be focused on a big picture. When you are ready to have a difficult conversation, a challenging conversation, you want to make sure that the bigger picture is the focus. The bigger picture is the focus. Before I allow prophetess to say a few things and then have our exchange, is that whenever wisdom is called on in a conversation, there are three things that wisdom seeks. Three things that wisdom is looking for. When wisdom is invited in a conversation, there are three things that wisdom is looking for. Number one, wisdom is looking for solutions. Wisdom is looking for solution. Do you know that it is unnecessary to start a conversation if you are not willing to have solutions? Because certain people start a conversation just to start a fight. And I don't know, there are couples that are addicted to fight. Like if a week doesn't go and they're not fighting, it's like there's no spice in the food. And it's abnormal. If nobody ever told you, I'm telling you tonight, it's abnormal. Our conversation must always be solution oriented. The reason why I will speak to my wife, it is because I'm trying to resolve a problem. Not because I'm trying to vent. Oh, you offended me. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, it's because. Oh, it's because. No, the goal, the ultimate goal of me starting a conversation is to do what? To find a solution. And, it is impossible to find a solution if you are standing on the pedestal, I'm always right. It is impossible. You will never find a solution if you are standing on the pedestal called, I'm always right. Because what does that say? You are always wrong. And there is nothing bad like going into a conversation where you are telling yourself, I'm always right. And then you don't say it, but she's interpreting. You're saying that I'm always wrong. And I'm telling you, there will not be any solutions that will be found. So all things, when we start a conversation, let it always be geared toward resolving the issue. If we are going to talk about it, let's make sure that it is for it to be resolved. I figured that there are some couples that lack attention. A small problem, you call the whole world. And even when you call the whole world, it's not for people to help you find a solution. No, you're just trying to accuse. Anyway, this wife, I do not understand. I don't know what kind of education. And without knowing, it has left the ranks of you as couple. It has entered now the arenas of insulting parents. Because what you are now saying is that the parent did not give a good education. So now you are speaking about my parents. And when the parents hear about it, you know that it's an all messed up situation. It's very important. We must not seek attention when we are trying to resolve the problem. Even when we have to call people to intervene or ask people to help and so forth and so on, we must be geared toward resolving issues. Second thing that wisdom seeks. When wisdom enters a conversation, wisdom is seeking for peace. Wisdom is seeking for peace. Wisdom is seeking for how many of you know that if peace is the goal, it means that there are times it's not about winning an argument. If peace is the ultimate that we want, it's not about, yeah, anyway, I won, you lost. Peace sometimes means, I know I'm right, but I won't say I'm right. Okay, babe, it's fine. Let's move on. Because peace is more important than being right or wrong. Peace is more important than being right and wrong. I'm telling you, a house that lacks peace doesn't have joy. A house that lacks peace cannot move forward. A house that lacks peace, every project will be delayed. A house that lacks peace, man, just you sitting next to your spouse feels like, there's a volcano burning. You can feel the heat, but you don't see it. You feel the tension, like there's a vibration in the spirit. But if they had to read, what do we call it? The speedo, whatever meter that there is to read, you can tell that there is tension. And now imagine how things becomes difficult. Because when wisdom enters a room of conversation, what wisdom is trying to establish is what? Peace. No, it was my turn to win. Peace. No, even last year, it was just like this. Peace. That's why Jesus says, peace I leave with you. Jesus didn't leave us trouble. He left us what? Peace. Every home should be a peaceful home. Every home should be a peaceful home. And we must thrive for that. We must fight for that. We must make sure that our house and our marriages does not look like a WWE ring. We must make sure that, our marriage is not just aesthetics for social media. Because now the pressure of social media, content. It begins to put pressure. And we focus now on the icing rather than focusing on the cake itself. And it's very important. When wisdom enters the room, one must be willing to lose for the greater good of what? Peace. When solution becomes an impossible equation, peace must be the great alternative. If we can't find solution, let's just settle for peace. Because ultimately, I love you and you love me. Ultimately, we have promised each other that we will be there for one another. I was blessing a wedding, and then I got to the place where we're doing the vows. Say, for rich and for poorer. And then the lady's like, for rich and for rich. I said, no, for rich and for poorer. I said, for rich and for rich. I said, even when you don't say it, there are times, finances will go down. You have to promise that just because things go down this way does not mean that you will leave. And I said, in a good time and a bad time, in a good time and a good time. And I laughed in my heart. I said, you have to be ready. However the waves of the life slides you to, you must be willing to focus on what? Peace. When solutions is unattainable, settle for peace. Settle for what? There are times you don't win an argument, but you just settle for peace. You move on like everything is fine, but you know deep down, those conversations, you start to breathe heavily. But you just say, just for the sake of peace. Just for the sake of peace. And I tell you, peace will bring back joy. Peace will reunify you again. Because when wisdom enters the room, it seeks to find peace. And number 3, when wisdom enters the room, Emotions are no longer the goal. What does that mean? It means that we are no longer trying to, what's the word in English? But the word in French is, we are not trying to massage our feelings. We are not trying to beat down around the sensitivity of each other. No, wisdom brings in the room maturity. It brings in the room maturity. We can be able to look each other in the eyes and say, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I want to fix this. I want to move on. You were right the last time. I should have listened to you. Because wisdom brings room, makes room for maturity to show. You can never see maturity in a place where there's no wisdom. And I'm telling you, unfortunately, you can have couples that have been married 20 plus years. When you see them, just have a conversation and so forth and so on. And sometimes, even as you counsel them, you can tell that wisdom left the room long ago. Their 20 years has just been accumulation, a succession of years. But wisdom left the room long ago because you can't see maturity. And how do you know that there's no maturity? It's because everyone is still very sensitive to their feelings. And I do believe that whether we like it or not, difficult conversations are ours to have. Prophetess.
I was enjoying the conversation. We welcome everybody. So before we move forward, there's a table there at the back. So if you know your partner is cold, there's some tea, sugar, everything. So you may go and then serve yourself if you are cold. So before I move forward, there's this example that I want to share with somebody. So we're going to take it from there. There was this couple. I think mine's fine. Can you hear me? Is it fine, right? I'm fine.
Okay. No, I thought mine sounded better.
No, it sounds good also. Okay. That's the problem already. So there was this couple. The husband is coming from quite a low family, and the wife, that's high standard. And every time the in-laws come in the house, the wife will cook, will bring everything. By the way, the father, the in-law, was a shoes fixer. So when he come to eat, when he finish to eat, the leftover, it's not the leftover, the pot, the spoon, and the fork. When he goes out, he finds some shoes left, just for kids, especially for the women. He's going to take those shoes, he goes. First time, second time, 3 times. And then the helper, the madam will be like, I don't see my spoons anymore. I don't see my fork. And you know what? When Papa comes, when he asks for the leftover, he asks also for the spoons and the fork. And then sometimes she'll be looking, okay, where's the shoes of mine? I can't find it. And then she'll be like, when Papa goes out, he's going to find it there in the yard. He'll be like, who's the owner of these shoes? And then when I said for Mama, I said, no, just give me. She have a lot. And then one day, the son will be like, okay, Papa and Mama need to come, you need to prepare. So she was like, she wanted to say it. And every time they comes, they took my stuff, you don't go take it for me. They took my spoon, my fork, they don't bring it back. So you want me to cook it then? They eat my food and they take the spoon and the pot. She didn't say anything that day. She just cooked, they comes, they eat. And before they go, she called her husband. Papa is about to leave. Today, please tell him, if you want to take the food, I'm going to put it in the plastic. There's no takeaway box. There's no forks and everything. If you want to take the food, please make sure we put it in the plastic. And for the husband, he doesn't have that power to go and tell Papa, today, there's no food in the lunch box. If you want to take the food, we're going to put it in the plastic. The husband didn't say anything. He just goes in the kitchen. When Papa was about to leave, he just packed the foods and then put it in the lunch box. Papa left. When Papa left, now it was two of them. They wanted to have an open discussion because their wife was here. She was tired of those things already. The problem was when Papa comes, he took my forks, my spoons, and then you don't give me money to buy those things. When I say there's no stuff in the kitchen, you say, I always give you money, but you don't know how to keep it to manage the money. And they get to the point where the in-laws went to come again. It was their first wedding anniversary. Then she's like, we're going to invite everybody. But this time around, I'm going to call my close friend and my close family. And then the husband wanted to ask about his family. Because when those people come, they don't go empty-handed. They always make sure like they took things from the kids, from the wife. Every time when they come, they need to load their bags. So the wife was, I think I'm done with this family. I don't want them to come in my house anymore, but they are my in-laws. How are we going to open this conversation? How are we going to speak about it? And then one day the wife said to the husband, I think you are the one who's giving power to Papa. Because you don't tell him, like, this house is my house. Even though you are the one who paid the rent and everything, this is my house. Because when Papa comes, he always say, I'm going to my son's house, right? And then he has that right to take everything. He's going to take this and thing. For him, it's my son's house. With that knowing, the husband was not working. The wife was bringing everything. And the husband was just there. When it came to the shoes, Papa was collecting shoes, saying, it's my son that is buying the stuff. So you don't know how to keep them. You are just leaving them everywhere. When I come, I take them. I will go sell, and then I will go do everything. And then one day, the wife decided. I said, today I will speak to Mama. Like, Mama, your way of doing things, I think I'm tired in this house. Every time you come, you take my pot and my spoon, you don't bring back. When Papa comes to take my stuff, he doesn't bring them back. I think I'm tired. We need to find a place. When you come here, eat, and then leave some stuff. I save you, you eat, and then you go. Because this thing of taking my stuff and then you go with my pot, you don't bring it back, it's not a problem. And Mama say, you are not well educated. From now, I think we need to have a second wife for our son. That will respect us. Because when we come in the house, it's our house. It's my son's house. I pay school fees. I did this. I did everything for my son. So it's my time also to enjoy the money and everything that my son is putting on the table. That was a difficult issue. Very, very, very complicated. As they were talking about wisdom to speak about difficult situation, how can you solve that problem? Deep down, you know the husband doesn't work. You're the one who's bringing everything on the table. And the husband doesn't have that power to tell Papa, you can't do this in my house. For him, from the background, for where he comes from, when Papa comes in the house, he's the boss. We don't say no when Papa is there. We don't say no when the mother-in-law is there. Everything is for them. Until they left our house, then we can breathe. And that husband was the poorest husband. He get to the point where he said to the wife, you know what? In my culture, we've been raised like this. When my parents come in my house, I don't have any says. Everything they want, they need to take it because they are our parents. And the wife says, in my culture also, in my house where I come from, we don't do things like this. This is my house. When my parents come, they sit them, I save them. They have nothing to say. So the problem was now culture problem. The backgrounds, how we grow up, how we've been raised, how, we've been doing our life. For the husbands was like, okay, les comptes à rendre, when the parent is there, it's now your turn to do everything. It's now your turn to build for them their house. It's now your turn to give them everything they want. But for the wife, when the parents come, they were happy to see how, the kids are doing. Everything is fine. They have cars, they have beautiful house, they have kids. For them, it was a joy. They were enjoying. Not giving them money for transport was never a problem. But on the other side, it was a problem. So we're going to conclude on saying there are times where we have a problem, to raise issues, according to where we are coming from. For me, I cannot know how to say it, but on your partner's side, it's difficult because the parents, they are really those God. Anyway, is there any verse that says the parents are the God on the... Is there any verse? Because Pastor is going to tell us today. I was reading, I didn't see that verse, I'm sorry, where they said the parents, they are our God on earth. Oh, you don't agree with me? Maybe you know the verse. If somebody knows that verse, just Google it. If you find it, let's share together. But me, I never found that verse. So sometimes we have that difficulties, to bring that issue on the table and talk about it because, the culture, I think sometimes it's that culture that is giving us problem to resolve some issue that are very, very, very difficult. And then when we come together, I think we need to get to the point where we break the power of cultures. Because it's not culture that come together, it's individual that come together. A man and a wife, not culture, not the whole family. If it could be the whole family, will be, 10 spirits in the house. And then when we have 10 spirits in the house, it's going to be very, very difficult to have one family, small family, and to live properly. So for me this morning, not tonight, we just want to tell everybody, like when we come together, when they bless us, they don't bless the culture, but we bless the individual. So when we want to deal with any kind of problem, let's deal it like people, not like culture. We are boss in the culture. From where I come from, this is how we do things. And then if we remain on that way, where we come from and how we do things, there will never be peace in the house. Even though we try hard to make peace, there will be hypocrisy in the house, and that will never move forward. And then this is how you see, one partner, you may give everything on the table. She's like, those kind of men, even though you feed them, their stomach will never grow big.
My God.
So sometimes they're asking, is your wife cooking for you or what? The wife did all kind of the recipes, but nothing. When you see him, it's like he sleep on the floor. But, they give him 5-star treatment in the house. Just because the culture is there, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to have a stable and un mariage épanoui dans ce sens-là.
Prophetess, now, I just want us to get into the real issues. That was a good introduction, by the way. I think you're good with stories. But on a man's perspective, there's often these issues. There are two that I believe are quite sensitive for women. One is food. Like literally, you are called to appreciate the food. Even when sometimes, you can see that I'm even having difficulties to just finish my thoughts. There's a sensitivity. Sometimes it's on us men as well. Like, our wives will wake up in the morning and say, hey, babe, what are you eating today? I don't know. Anything.
So when somebody say, I don't know anything, what do you want me to do? But that's when that's anything goes on the table, when that's anything comes on the table, and then you give that funny face laugh.
It's quality.
That's anything come with different quality. When you say potato, there's no magic about potato.
Yeah.
Potato is potato. You boil it and then you put on the table, or you fry it. It's anything. When you say maybe, salad, there's Greek salad, there's this and this. I'll try, everything. You want chicken, I'll braid chicken, I'll do this. It's anything.
Okay. Let me bring it into
Let
my...
me also change my place.
Let me put it in my context. I'm a simple eater. Like, I eat the same thing. You call it boring.
Very boring.
Yeah, like there's no. How can you just eat dry stuff like this? Like, I will ask, for example, okay, I want to eat this, and then you will go and put some extra things that were not really necessary. Now, I see your efforts, but it's just that I don't eat those extras. And Joe, can you help me, please? I don't know if there's an emergency or what. You can just keep it and answer when it rings. Sorry about that. So there is, what do you call it? There is just that extra that is not required, And then when I finish the food and you come and see your extra on the table, it changes your face. Now I begin to ask myself, but I finished the food. What is wrong now? No, but you didn't eat this that I did. Or you didn't appreciate the efforts. Now, I am trying to tell you that literally, I just need what I ask. How do you not take offense? Or how do I do so that you don't take offense in the fact that this is what I required and this is what I need?
When they prepare a woman to be a woman, to be a mother, they say you treat your husband as a king. And when they set a table for a king, we don't put one glass, we don't put one plate. It's a buffet,
Okay.
we make it good. And then for you to appreciate, because us, it's not only the table. When we prepare the table, there's beyond that food.
Okay.
So it may be rice. When I put those small decoration, it's my expression of what I'm waiting.
Okay.
Right? So even though you don't want to eat rice, just appreciate at least.
Okay.
Oh, wow, such a beautiful table. Thank you so much for your efforts. Even though you don't eat, but at least come with something. Say something that's going to push me. Just, this is so beautiful, but this one, no, I'm not going to eat it. But, the songs that is bringing on the table, that's going to give me more motivation. Even though tomorrow you're not going to eat the flowers, by the way, but I'm not going to put flowers. Tomorrow I'm not going to put flowers. I'm going to put something else. But, your appreciation is what we desire. It's what we want beyond that table. It's not only the potato, but... yeah.
No, but is it enough to say, oh my God, this is so beautiful, if I don't eat it? Because I know deep down, all right, there's diplomatic answers and there is real answers. Now, this time I want a real answer. Like, you've burned your fingers, put all, the entire table and so forth and so on. And then by the moment now you have done all of that. And I just ate a little bit. How do I say that, yeah, I appreciate it, but you didn't have to, go all that way? And how will you want me to say it without offending you?
Knowing okay, you are coming from work, right? You didn't eat the whole day.
Yeah.
You eating that small portion, it's just giving too much questions. because I try my best.
Oh, Jesus.
I know you went to work.
Oh, Jesus.
You didn't eat. I'm waiting for you to come and eat. And then you come, you eat a corner. So I'm like, okay, who served you lunch? Who bought this?
I'm stressed.
No, come, let's share. Like, okay, I'm having this one. Okay, before you eat, come. You know what, baby? This and this is happening at work. I don't really have appetite. I'm going to try to make, green tea for you to release your stomach. We always have those old mama remedy to help. I can tell you, take this, take this. You can't just come eat small and then you go to sleep and say thank you and then you just go. No, it doesn't work like that.
All right.
Are we together?
Okay. I guess we are here to learn as well as men.
Yes.
Like this is the way, this is the approach, this is the expectation.
Yes.
Because I do believe that if the expectations are clear, then there is less frustration.
Yes.
Another thing that I do believe that it is a sensitive issue, and I want to draw just wisdom from you. It is around the subject of in-laws. You've touched a bit on it, in stories. But most of the times, when there is an in-law issue, it can be a sibling to your spouse. It can be the parents. How do you go with that conversation? And I know, you mentioned something in the morning. You say you have to know which terrain you are standing in, because difficult conversation is about knowing the terrain on which you are standing. Some of them are sliding. Like literally you can just slide and it's a tsunami that is waiting for you on the other side. But what is the wisdom that one needs to have around the subject of in-laws? Because I do believe that at the end of the day, all of us seem to be very protective, naturally, of our families. And if you have to raise an issue that deals with the side of my family, or I raise an issue that deals with the side of your family, how do I approach? Because here the context again is that we know what we want to say, but how do I start the conversation? The context is, I know what is bothering me, but what is the approach?
One thing that we need to know is how related you are to that person.
Okay.
It may be in-laws, we have those brothers that we don't have that's too much connection. We know there are troublemakers in the family. Everybody knows there are troublemakers. And then you have this one is very, very, very close to your hearts. And then even though you want to raise that issue, as I was saying, you need to see when, how, and where to raise that issue. So sometimes, when the issue of in-laws are raised, the problem is the other side must get, first of all, the points. Why this person is saying this. Understand the frustration that this partner have before you take, your side. Sometimes it's lack of understanding the frustration. And then what we always want to have as partners, sometimes we just want to, somebody stand by your side like, okay, I know that sister of mine. I know that brother of mine. He behaves like this, and everybody in the family knows him like this. You know what, baby? Just ignore him. Sometimes we just want something, you come with a soft answer. Like, you the one who know your brothers. You know your parents. You know them. Just, let's go back to the story that I said to you. And then I'm complaining my fork had disappeared. My underplates are disappeared because every time when Papa comes, he eats and then take it. And then me knowing my dad, I'll be like, and Papa always like that. Don't mind him. Since you're the one who knows your father or your mother-in-law or your sisters, I think it's your responsibility to deal with your side. To, because, they're still your family and they're still my family. What I will say, it will be well taken because we are in the family. But when you come with what you want to bring the family, everybody will take it in their way and it's going to be a problem. So if you want to raise the issue of the family, I think, let me speak on the wife's side. What we want from our husband It's just to understand our frustration,
Okay.
how bad we feel,
Okay.
how you know, how the matter is hitting us so bad.
Okay.
There are times when men want us to, you know, okay, just ignore. No, I can't ignore it like this. I know we are too much in general, in details,
Yeah.
and that you can't tell me like, okay, just ignore them. They're like this. No, I want you to stand by my side and say, you know what, this one is like this, like this. In this matter, I think you need just to ignore them, but let's take the position. I know I'm going to deal with this person. If I see that, you know, first step, you going to deal with that person, it's going to give me that guarantee, assurance, like I'm not on my side.
Yeah.
Until this one is standing by my side, is with me. But you going quiet, talking to you like I'm not talking to you, that's bring more frustration and bring more pain. It's like I'm on my own. Nobody understand me. And then this is why men get crazy.
Okay.
If I was pregnant, I promise you I will name your father after this baby, and tomorrow I change. Easy.
No, there you want to start World War III or IV or whatever. But understand. I think that the wisdom here is to, number one, acknowledge the validity of that frustration. Because sometimes we want to downplay it. Now, baby, you know, I was talking to someone. He's like, you know, I am tired of people telling me, no, it's your hormone. Oh, baby, cool down, and so forth and so on. The person was just like, I'm tired of hearing that word. If somebody say it one more time, you know, I'm just over it. So what I believe I am getting out of what Prophetess has just mentioned here is the fact that we have to acknowledge that what you are claiming is valid. You're not crazy. It is true. You know, even in our own family, we know. Because there are times we don't want to be told what we know. Like all of us know that, hey, ever since we were kids, everybody in the family, but make sure that this one you are very careful in your way. But it would be nonsensical of me to expect my spouse or the husband or the wife to not acknowledge that that problem that she's raising is actually valid. And I do believe if we fail to acknowledge the validity of the frustration, it does not give room for whatever conversation we are going to have. Because what will happen then is that we are going to be protective of one side of the family, and the other side is going to be very offended. And when that happens, we cannot be able to move forward. I think we are going to take a commercial break, you know, on load shedding. And then right after that, as they switch on, switch between the lines to the generator, so I can be able to take questions and we can have a conversation that we deal with together. Are you having fun so far? All right. So let them switch between the two lines. Those of you watching online, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.